Welcome to our lab tour. Thanks so much for joining. So I'm sitting here in my office in the Plant Science Building at Cornell University, opposite Mr. Jensen Njagi, our brilliant and accomplished filmmaker here, and he's going to take us on a whirlwind kaleidoscopic tour of our facilities. So it's nice to be here, and I'm just going to mention now a few of the sites that Jensen, who's a member of our lab, is going to take you on. So Jensen's going to show up at a few scenes, and a few other people from the lab will make appearances in some of these different places. So here in plant science, I hope you're going to see a couple of our peak collection points at Cornell, and you're also going to see our laboratory in a different building. You're going to also see our kind of wet lab where we do our pea work. We have a pasteurizer from the Rich Earth Institute there. We have our IBC tanks, and it's right near our greenhouse, so it connects with our setup and analysis work and our greenhouse work there. You'll also be visiting Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm, where some of our experiments take place in the high tunnel and out on the Saxon racks, and see our little garden there. And then we'll also be making a quick visit to the soil factory, where we have community engagement and even a few scenes from our work in Kenya. So just real quick to acknowledge a couple of our collaborators. Professor Johannes Lehmann is a biochar expert who's a key conspirator for some of our resource recovery work involving biochars. He's involved in our project also on pea-powered composting and grow-as-you-go gardening, also in East Africa, where our lead collaborator is Professor Charles Minega, another world-famous, he's a biologist, entomologist, public health guy, and all-around circular economist. So anyway, just want to tip my hat to them and many other collaborators who are involved in our work. Thanks.
The pea cycling that we're involved with is entirely container-based sanitation. So all the urine collected from all the sites and all the collection schemes is collected in containers that transported. Dr. Nelson transports the containers to this site here. We have a tank just outside this window that we receive urine from various places. We collect it, dump it in there, and it's pumped into the pasteurizer from the Rich Earth Institute and returned to another tank, which we can draw down and use in experiments. As with any area of agricultural innovation, we have a lot to benefit from working with partners who are engaged in either exploring the same questions but in different contexts, or exploring different but related questions. And so the Nelson Lab collaborates with many collaborators on Cornell's campus. Cornell's the university's slogan is "Any person, any study." So there are people across the university pursuing different areas of study, but who share an interest in circularity. And so there are collaborators all across campus in other disciplines within the School of Agriculture and outside that school who we collaborate with. On campus, one of our most important collaborators is the student farm. Cornell has a network of agricultural experiment stations, farms where researchers host research, host extension activities, and one of the sites closest to Cornell's academic campus is the student farm, which is right on the campus. And it's a site that hosts student-led research, including students you see in this video here who lead research projects with the Nelson Lab based at the student farm.
And this summer I've been working here on the Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm, and also a bit inside the lab, where we're taking a look at how our organic underutilized resource substrate and a variety of alternative organic fertilizers such as urine and fish effluent are affecting the health and growth of two culturally significant indigenous crops, which are Haudenosaunee skunk beans and Cherokee tobacco.
It also is a place where students can work as farm managers and be hired into that role, where they learn how to manage a farm. and they also lead a number of community engagement initiatives that bring really substantial amounts of the student body onto the farm to engage. And the pea cycling efforts that the Nelson Lab leads there, that the pea collection through the eco-loo, the collecting toilet, as well as our experiments in the high tunnel there, are featured really prominently, and students are exposed to that through that facility.
We are studying different aspects of the circular bionutrient economy. And as you can see, we're up at Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm in our high tunnel, working with some tomatoes. We're also interested in looking at alternatives to conventional nitrogen fertilizers. So in this case, we've grown some of our tomatoes with Miracle-Gro, a standard fertilizer used by many gardeners, but we've also grown some plants with pasteurized human urine.
And we're here at Dillman Hill Student Organic Farm at the pollinator garden that is a pea-powered pollinator garden. Beautiful bees all around me with these beautiful flowers that are growing because of pea. Also in this vicinity is an indigenous research project using culturally relevant crops that are also fertilized with pea, as well as black soldier fly frass, and comparing that against conventional Miracle-Gro.
Where we made this indigenous Pan-American garden as a model for marginalized areas where their soils may be contaminated or depleted by nutrients from synthetic fertilizer and pesticide abuse.
So the Soil Factory is an off-campus site with a big warehouse and a lot of space and an artist residency. So that's where a group of us, key co-conspirator again being Johannes Lehmann and many others, we have art science events where artists come visit and put on shows. We have pea cycling toilets being invented there. And we have a big Grow As You Go garden where we're doing pea-powered composting and gardening. And when people come from abroad, for instance, I also mentioned Charles Midega, when he and other people come to talk about whatever circular economy topic, you know, they'd always have a community event there with a dinner and people, an informal exposure to the community and exchanging ideas with people from around here. So it's a nice place for all sorts of exchange of information, and pea cycling gets a whole lot of press.
Welcome to the Rebecca Nelson Lab. I'll guide you through our lab facilities and showcase some key areas and equipment that support our research activities. I'll start with the workbenches where we conduct most of our hands-on experiments. Each bench is equipped with standard tools and equipment such as microscopes for observing microorganisms, pH and conductivity meters for monitoring the pH and salinity of samples, as well as the centrifuge for separating different components of samples. Above the workbenches are shelves with mostly reagents, glassware, and items we use for chemical and biological analysis. We also have refrigerators and freezers that we use for storing and preserving samples. There's also a fume hood and biosafety cabinet that we use for experiments that involve volatile chemicals.
In the agricultural college, we collaborate with Johannes Lehmann and his research group on the uses of biochar in these systems and other questions as well. Internationally, Dr. Nelson has colleagues around the world, but especially in Kenya. It's our closest collaborator, Dr. Charles Midega at Poverty and Health Integrated Solutions, where he focuses on different uses for urine in agriculture there, especially targeting the peri-urban and urban applications, uses of urine with biochar, and is really intimately engaged with a number of community-based organizations there, both for the pea cycling side of the work and for the community engagement and extension aspect. in addition to all the facilities that facilitate our ability to study the use of urine as fertilizer and to provide nutrients in these novel horticultural media, really the secret sauce to our work and how we can study what we study here is not the facilities but the colleagues we have. So all of my teammates and the team that Dr. Nelson leads, I know we all feel really lucky to work with each other, and that is really what the Nelson Lab brings to the table.